What's up YouTube? Jason here, Morph, Mixology, Reptiles. Welcome back to the channel. Let's do a clutch reveal. You know, a couple weeks ago we did, actually it's been probably about a month or so now, we were supposed to do a live egg cutting for clutch number 1. Because remember we told you we're going to do live cuttings for all of our clutches. Just so happened that one didn't work out. However, at the time of filming this video, if you missed it, yesterday we did the live egg cutting of clutch number 2. And it's only one little egg in there, but I think we got a pretty cool result. So we're gonna go ahead and cut all of the clutches moving forward live on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed and the post notifications are on so that you are ready for that when that happens. However, we missed the first one, but it's all right. I've got them now. They've all eaten. They all but one, but we'll get into that in a minute. And they're putting on a little bit of size. They've had their first shed and the colors look incredible. And I'm actually gonna probably need a little bit of your help, hopefully. We'll see. So let's go ahead, show you the pairing, and then we'll get into revealing clutch number 1 for the year. All right, you guys, clutch number 1 for the year starts with this male. You guys have seen him time and time again. This is the Red Stripe GHI from Mr. Justin Kabilka. Had him a few years. He sired a handful of clutches for us. Super good looking dude, and does great obviously with the clutches. I'm still pretty new with Red Stripe stuff, and unless I saw a Red Stripe GHI, I might not 100% know what I've got. But let's take a look at the female and explain what we're working with, because it is a little bit confusing for some. And now the female for that clutch, unfortunately she's deep in shed, but you guys all know this girl. You've seen her on the channel lots of times. This is Elsa. This is like our second or third snake we ever bought when we first got started. And what Elsa is it's an allelic combination. So there's been a little bit of misinformation, I think, recently on allelic combinations. This one is indeed allelic. It's Mojave and Mystic, which are very similar genes by themselves, but when you put them together you get what's referred to as a potion or passion. I can't remember which one, but anyway, they make effectively a white snake or kind of a grayish looking snake with blue eyes like she does. She also has pinstripe in her, so there's a little bit of pattern if you look really close. But regardless, is what the allelic combination means is when I breed anything to her, because she is allelic, she must pass along Mojave or Mystic. She cannot pass along both, and she cannot pass along neither. So the absolute minimum you could get pairing anything to her would be Mojave or Mystic. So obviously our goal there with the Red Stripe GHI to pin potion would be, I wanted some GHI Mojave combos because I really like those. They're not allelic. They do make a very distinctly patterned animal that's different than the two parts independently, but not allelic. I've bred enough GHI Mojave to normals and gotten plenty of normals, believe me. But I like GHI Mojaves. They sell well. They look really cool. And so I wanted some of those, but I wanted to see some combos with Red Stripe and see how that would work. I know the Red Stripe pinstripe stuff is super nice, so that was kind of my idea. Spoiler alert, didn't get any Red Stripe pinstripe, but we got something better. So let's go ahead and flip around. We'll move this camera up to the corner and we'll bring in our top down shot. It'll be right over here. I hope that the audio works because I'm actually pulling the audio from the main camera at the moment. But we'll bring the top down shot in. We'll move me to the top. Let's go ahead and show you clutch number 1. Alright, so I'm gonna do like I do on most of my reveals, and we're gonna start at the bottom and work up to the best thing we hit all year, or in the clutch. So for this one, I'm actually going to put 2 animals side by side on here at the same time, and I'm going to explain why as we go. Remember that everything has to be either Mojave or Mystic. There cannot be anything less than that. So what you have here, as I adjust everything and get squared up, what you've got here is a Mojave pinstripe, or what they refer to as a jigsaw, and a Mystic pinstripe. We know it's not just a pinstripe because, again, it has to be Mystic or Mojave because of the allelic combination from Elsa. And we obviously know that they're not the same. You can very easily see the difference between the two. Mojave pinstripes are a really, really cool, simple 2-gene combination. Again, what they call a jigsaw. I just love the colors. They're very rich, very creamy looking. He's kind of excited. Actually, this one, yep, the Mojave pin is a male. So this is Mojave and pinstripe and a male. Make sure the girl behind me doesn't bite. He's just a mover. But just a really pretty combination, nice and bright, nice bright white belly, good color tone. So Mojave pinstripe, and then next to him is his sister, which is the Mystic pinstripe. So by themselves, Mojave and Mystic look very similar side by side, but when you start adding them to things, you can definitely see a difference. There are similarities. You still get the nice bright white belly, you get a nice contrasted saddle and stripe, the pixelated sides, but you put them side by side, definitely a big difference in color. Mystic pin, female, Mojave pin, male. Both of these, along with others, are going to be available. So I'm going to leave those two right there because, again, we're going to use them as a comparison here. Because the next one we hit, I am 99% confident, is the REDSTIPE Mystic pinstripe. So again, has to be Mystic or Mojave. You can take and put the Mojave next to it and identify immediately it's not Mojave, so it has to be Mystic, right? You take the Mystic pin and put it next to it, and the big difference here, and I don't know if this is going to translate on camera, it's hard with the colors, but in person, the big difference is the one that I think is REDSTIPE is much rustier in color. It's much more red. That is part of a characteristic of REDSTIPE. That's not necessarily why it's named that, but it is part of it. But it is definitely much rustier red, much more bright, kind of blown out head a little bit. And then one thing I noticed from the REDSTIPE GHI from Elmo is the REDSTIPE seems to disrupt the pattern and pixelate it quite a bit. So if you look into the alien heads on the side, I hope you can see that this is fairly traditional keyhole. They're just smaller, more compressed. This one is much more blown apart, looks kind of granity is the best way I can explain it, more speckled. So what we've got here is the REDSTIPE Mystic pinstripe, and this is a female and will also likely be available. Really cool stuff. Depends on how the rest of these turn out. I might keep her because I don't have any REDSTIPE female stuff, and super REDSTIPE stuff is really nice. But if you're interested, let me know. These have all had at least one meal, so we're getting them going. They should be ready to go here pretty quick. But just to recap for the first three: Mojave pinstripe, aka jigsaw, Mystic pinstripe, Mystic REDSTIPE pinstripe. This next one up, I actually don't think is in the right order because I had it mislabeled before. In fact, I'm going to save him. We'll do him in just a second. So before that, we'll do this male. This one I'm a little confused by, to be honest with you. So, we know it has to be Mystic or Mojave. Trying to figure out which one might be the problem here. But what we've got is definitely GHI, definitely Mystic or Mojave, possibly REDSTIPE, possibly pinstripe. Now, I don't think don't think this one has the red stripe in it. Or maybe it's, I don't think, it's tough. So here, and I'll explain why here in a minute. It's definitely GHI, we know that. And it's definitely Mystic or Mojave, we know that. Possible pin, possible red stripe, we're not sure which one. If you look at this sibling, at this brother, this guy here is actually eaten really well already. He's ready to go, and I think he's already spoken for. This is what I am almost certain is going to be the GHI Mojave red stripe. So you start with the overall back pattern and color. This is absolutely GHI Mojave. Again, it could be Mystic, but in this case I don't think so because of the color tone. Lots of darker blacks, bright yellow dorsal, and whatnot. The big difference is here is look at this side pattern and color. So cool. All these alien heads just floating up off of here, not connected to anything. Gray, almost white belly all the way around. Crazy reduced pattern. So I'm certain that this is GHI Mojave red stripe. So this is what the father would be if you added just Mojave to it. Now you take that and you contrast it to here. This might just be a GHI Mystic pin now that I'm looking at it. It's really hard to think that you would get this much solid dorsal without pinstripe, and because you know every GHI Mojave combo has this kind of broken up bony looking pattern. Super striped dorsal. It's much more red. I hope you can see this on the camera, but it's definitely got more of that red tone. So it very possibly could be GHI. No, it has to be Mystic or Mojave. That's the problem. I was going to say GHI red stripe pinstripe, but that's not possible. So it has to be Mystic or Mojave in this case. I'm gonna lean towards, for right now, GHI Mystic pin. And again, a lot of that has to do with the color, because if you remember from the pinstripe group, the Mystic pin is much more red or brown than the Mojave pin, which is much more creamy. So for now, unless you guys think otherwise, let me know in the comments. Pretty sure GHI Mystic pin, and this one is a female. Nope, this one is a male as well. And a GHI Mojave red stripe male. This one I'm almost certain is spoken for. This male will definitely be available, but we're not quite done yet. Let's slide these off a little bit here and show you the number one. This is the only one that hasn't eaten, of course, but he shows good interest. We'll get him going. And sadly, again, it's a male, and sadly, he only has one eye. So I've had kind of a weird record in the last 2 years of hatching some kind of deformity. One eye, no eye, slight kink, that kind of thing. So this one is missing an eye. He's got his eye on this side. It doesn't seem to affect him yet. Obviously he hasn't eaten, but that could be this. It could just be he's not ready yet, what have you. But this, as far as I'm concerned, this has to be everything. There's zero side pattern to speak of. It's almost solid gray. It's got the bright white belly. It's got the nice, completely unbroken, smooth dorsal stripe. It's got the same color head that normally would have. And if you go again like with these two, and the pinstripe group that we looked at, and you look at the creaminess of Mojave versus the red rustiness of the Mystic, I'm gonna put this guy away because he's going nuts. You just look at the color overall and this creaminess as opposed to more rusty color, similar to here, lends me to believe is what we have here is the GHI Mojave Red Stripe Pinstripe. I'm fairly confident this has all four. I have seen some GHI Mojave pinstripes that have no pattern, so I'm going to do a little bit more research. So at this point I reserve the right to change my ruling if I'm not quite on. But it just, compared to all of the others, I kind of just get the feeling this has everything so far based on the overall pattern, color, and so forth. If this is all four, if we confirm it, I'm probably going to keep them anyway because a lot of people are going to throw a fit about trying to sell one that's missing an eye, even though it's not genetic at all. It cannot be passed on to offspring, and if they thrive, it doesn't affect them, so who cares? But either way, I'll probably end up keeping him. He can later on replace his dad if he does really well as a future breeder. But here we go with the what I think to be GHI Mojave Red Stripe Pinstripe. Could just be GHI Mojave Pin. Like I said, I'll do a little bit more research. Let me know in the comments what you think. And this guy is just killer. Alright you guys, so what do you think? It's a cool clutch either way. Like I said, I'm a little confused on a couple of things. I'm going to do a little bit more research, reach out to a couple of people and see what they think. See what we got. I mean, I'm still kind of iffy on the red stripe stuff, so we got to figure out how to pull that out. But either way, that second to last one that I think is the GHI Mojave Red Stripe looks phenomenal. I kind of want to hold on to him too, but I can't keep them all. We're very limited on space here. So let me know in the comments down below what you think we got. Go through the order from start to finish and label them up if you want and see what they are. I'll take a look at those and maybe you'll have a better answer than I do. Again, make sure you're subscribed and you have your post notifications turned on. Always keep checking in to make sure if we've got some live streams scheduled, because the egg cutting live streams happen completely randomly. Obviously the Tuesday night interviews are every Tuesday night, but we did the live cutting last night. In a couple of weeks, somewhere right around July 18th or so, we're going to have Chris back. He's going to be our regularly returning guest host for the egg cuttings, Chris Ward from the Reptile Ward. But it's very possible on the next one, not only are we going to cut a 10 egg clutch that is hopefully full of white snakes, he's got 2 clutches of bangers that I think he's going to bring on and cut for us as well. So make sure you're tuned in here and you got your post notifications on. Share this with a friend, and I'll see you guys next one. See ya.